Welcome back to Lawyers and Libations, episode 41. We're crawling up on our year birthday time when it comes to how many episodes we've done versus how old we are. Yay!
Oh my gosh, we are so close.
I'm really proud of us
the
for
40s.
Constant dedication. I think things are doing really well. So you just got back from... we had Workers' Compensation Advisory Committee, which in Georgia is the chairman's advisory committee. So he appoints people to different groups that can help make changes. Hopefully they're balanced and neutral. Sometimes they're not. But you are the only female lawyer on the legislative committee. Tell me what that's like.
I am. So I just got back. We had our meeting in Jekyll, and so we meet for 2 days and try to collaborate and come up with new ideas that can improve the workers' compensation system. So
how's that working out for you?
You know, it's a struggle. You know, it's interesting, I think, particularly because I practice in, well, I used to practice in South Carolina. I kept my license. I mainly practice in Georgia now, but it's interesting practicing in both states and hearing now that I'm in Georgia, and particularly on the plaintiff side, so many complaints from employers and insurance companies that that the system's not fair for them.
That's so cute. The employers and the insurers are feeling that way. That's fucking great.
It's wild because coming from a state where I actually was a defense lawyer, South Carolina is, oddly enough, much more plaintiff friendly. So it's interesting being now practicing in Georgia and hearing from the employer and insurer side how unfair they think the laws are.
That's so cute. Because in Georgia, you have, let's see, we have the second lowest TTD rate in the country. We're the only state to not have indexing, which means that we get an automatic bump in the comp rate. TTD is temporary total disability rate that you're paid whenever you're out of work due to a work-related injury. We're the only state that doesn't have an automatic bump per year with the cost of daily living by the Department of Labor. So we're only that, but do they have a hard time?
They do. So apparently they feel like workers' comp is costing them a lot of money, and it's easy to get in the system and hard to get out. And
so does it have to do with it's costing them a lot of money with their record-breaking profits? Is that what it is? Because if you actually look at the fucking numbers, did you ask them about?
Of course. Oh my gosh, Sarah. Yes. But obviously, a little bit more.
Did you stab him in the throat? I'm just asking.
No,
this is why Rebecca is
no.
on the chairman's legislative advisory committee and not me, because I'd be like, did you take a knife and just like file it down a little bit and just fucking shake him right underneath the rib?
No, you talk about it. And so, and I think a part of it is having an open conversation, because I think, you know, what I strive to do when you're talking to people, particularly that are anti what we're arguing for, like better benefits for our clients, better doctors, you know, more money when they're out of work.
More quicker approval on medical treatment. That would be helpful. Things like that.
But I think what a lot of employers don't understand is a lot of the delays come from insurance companies and from bad adjusters on files. And from bad defense lawyers that like to run up costs. And so kind of using it as my chance to be like, hey, did you hire a good defense firm? Did you do this? These cases that go completely off the rails, did they go off the rails because someone didn't handle it right from the very beginning? And that tends to be what happened.
So did we say things like, well, and you are significantly more diplomatic than I am. So I am so proud of your fucking work, because I would kill absolutely everybody.
It is a struggle, but we are working. We did come up with some great ideas on some legislation that we're working on right now. So I'm sure my next 2 to 3 months will be very involved with figuring out where ands and these and commas and semicolons and things should be. Because I think one of the hardest things about working on legislation and drafting it is it's permanent until it gets changed by appellate courts. And so it's trying to draft something that's not disastrous.
I mean, I really can't believe all of the things that you do in relation to that when it comes to like the men and the women on the actual advisory committee. It's a lot. So I'm very proud of you.
Well, thank you.
Very, very proud.
Thank you.
So today we are having Bruce Hagen on, who is a phenomenal bicycle attorney, CTE for NFL players or anyone else, really, attorney. I mean, he's just a great lawyer in general, but those are the two things that he specializes in, correct?
Yes. And he's also a fellow radio lawyer.
Oh my God, he is. Yeah. So he's like actually one of the OG ones, right? So he has been having his conversations on the radio for a really long time. So we absolutely love him. And we are going to have Bruce Hagen on in just a minute to tell us a little bit of advice. If you're a cyclist or if you're a driver, try not to fucking run over the cyclist. It's not appropriate. You can go to jail and pay a bunch of money.
Or if you're a football player or a family of a football player.
All of those
What's
things
to be on the lookout for.
Yes. So hold on with us and we will bring Bruce Hagen on in just a minute.
Welcome back to Lawyers and Libations. We're so excited to have Bruce Hagen with us. Welcome, Bruce.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
Thank you for joining us. What did you bring us to drink?
Great to be here. So
The
I
libation
did bring you
side.
some whiskeys. These are from the Four Roses
I like
secret
Four
formula.
Roses. Yep.
That each of these gets blended together for their final version of it. So this is like the purest form of
you.
Four Roses.
Four Roses
Take one and have at it.
is my
It's your
bourbon that
go-to?
I drink every night on the rocks. I have my one Four Roses, sometimes two if things go off the rails, but generally one when I get home. So yeah.
Well, I was feeling kind of bad. I got hired today for a case for a cyclist who got killed by a drunk driver. I was feeling kind of bad about it, thinking like, all right, here I'm coming to this alcohol-based podcast. I may just defer mine till 8 p.m. this evening and do it in your honor. I don't know if I'm violating the Lawyers and Libations code. But don't let me stop you. I'm sure you guys Ubered over here anyway.
Always.
Well, and I'm not going to
Always.
do a half
Always.
because, as Sarah knows, I am not a bourbon drinker.
Yeah.
I'll dabble in it.
full-blown bourbon
Yes,
drinker.
I am as well, and I wasn't always. But cheers.
Cheers.
Okay,
You're
cheers.
drinking my favorite water that we do get here
Okay,
at the
yeah.
station.
Are we sponsored with this? Or?
I don't
they
know.
are. Have you
I
had
think
that one
they
yet?
are. No.
Well, so interesting thing, Bruce, that I'd love for you to talk to our listeners about is you were one of the original radio personalities for law, right?
Yeah, I don't know if personality, I would say, although certainly one of the original radio.
You do have a hell of a personality.
I like to think
I
so.
think so.
Thank you. But yeah, I was an early adopter of radio. Not so much for advertising. Frankly, I mean, I know Tyler and everybody else will not want to hear this. I don't think it's a great means for
I don't
lawyers to
think
do what
so
we do
either.
to advertise.
I don't think so either.
It's great for brand awareness
And showing
branding.
your personality.
And personality, right.
Yeah.
And so for me, I've never looked at it from a pure advertising sense of like, all right, I'm going to spend this much money, I'm going to get this much return on investment and be able to track how it all works out. It's
Like
just-
Seth Baderlaw in Atlanta now, who's like literally took over the advertising for, I don't know, maybe 4 major radio stations where they're just sitting there and he's like, on your screen, it's like
scrolls.
Baderlaw.
Yeah,
I'm like,
if you're going to blanket the airwaves like that, fine. And I think for some folks it might work. For example, most sales folks, they want to point you in the direction of, hey, our listeners have this kind of average income, and we've got a very high income, intelligent client listener base, and so that's who's going to hire you. Well, that doesn't matter to us. We work on contingent fees, right? And so
Exactly.
the high asset net worth folks, they're not finding their lawyers on the radio.
No, hell no.
They're related to lawyers. They are lawyers. They're
Right.
they're
They called their
calling
friends
their own
who
lawyer
knew.
and
Right.
their friends, and they're saying, who should
Exactly.
I hire, right? But for me, I've always found that it just, people who don't have me top of mind will have me top of mind if they listen to sports talk radio.
absolutely.
And so it's always worked out from that standpoint. And so I did it initially at what they call Radio Korea around here, 790 The Zone when that was a thing. I was friends with Steak Shapiro and I got started advertising with them, and I worked with Mike Bell over the years and Ryan Stewart, the Two Live Stews. And
I will say the group over here is phenomenal.
they're great.
They
they're
are
great.
such great hosts and lovely and fun to work with.
There's no doubt. I just, I know if I really analyzed it from an economic standpoint, it's like, I can't tell you that it works so directly like that. Whereas,
Right.
If you guys have done billboards, right? You could tell that, all right, this billboard is generating this many calls. And so,
Can we? Because I don't know that we can. But it's more of like a touching in the saturation of it's touching on every area of the market, right?
And speaking of billboards, I nearly retired from the practice of law because of your billboard.
Wait. Why?
Yeah, yours. Well, because I'm driving along one day and I nearly crashed my car looking at this, your Angels campaign when you did that, right?
Jesus Christ, we did have a funny Angels
And I called up my buddy. So for anybody who may not know this, it was just these, beautiful goddesses up on this billboard. And I took a picture of it. My buddy
Well, hair and makeup helps.
Whatever. Okay.
I mean, you see us normally.
My buddy is
now.
my buddy was my college roommate, so he's my age, which is a lot older than you guys. I took a picture of it, and I just said to him, "I was like, how am I supposed to compete with this?" I was like, every single married guy between the age of 30 and 70 is going to want them to be their lawyers, and I don't stand a chance.
That is.
And so I was going to
that's
switch
lovely
to
of you.
just doing anything else but this because, I can't compete.
Fuck them. Those bitches.
Well, for what it's worth, some of them still don't think women know what they're talking about. They don't call us.
exactly.
But the
You've got like a
ones-
50-50.
Yeah.
50 of them are like, I mean, I would sleep with them, but I'm not going to get my legal advice from them. And you're like, okay, thanks, buddy. I appreciate it.
And for those guys, if they do hire us, then I hire a male mediator. So then I'm like, see?
Yes.
Everything I told you is now being reinforced.
actually
by
was
a man.
correct. Who knew?
Yeah, you
but
just needed somebody to mansplain it to the client.
Always.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
always
available
like,
if you need help with that too.
Perfect.
I'm like, do you want to borrow my balls? They're bigger than yours. You can borrow them for a minute. But I do think it's important for advertising, for lawyers. We don't have, obviously, the revenue that Morgan & Morgan has or something like that, right? Or Seth Bader. They're all spending $1 million a month, legitimately, on advertising, minimum. So you pick and choose wisely, right? You say, I'm going to have a good billboard here or a digital billboard in a couple of these places, and then we're going to be featured in the Atlanta magazine, right? As like Dynamic Women of Atlanta. And then you're going to do the radio. And so having a touch on everything is important, but you don't have to saturate the market. I don't know that necessarily
I
helps.
tried to get in Dynamic Women of Atlanta. I told them I identify as being dynamic. Apparently it wasn't good enough.
well,
Should I identify as a woman, Bruce?
I had half of it.
I'm like half. You're
Yeah,
not allowed
yeah.
in. I'm sorry. I think that, you know what? We'll put you in for Dynamic.
Thank
Men.
you. Just
Dynamic
dynamic
Men.
lawyers of Atlanta.
Yes.
But the other thing too is there are different ways to put yourself out there, right? And so
Right.
part of it is you don't have to be a good lawyer to spend $1 million a month. You just need $1 million a month.
You're
and people
generally
will
not a
find you.
good lawyer if you're spending $1 million a month on advertising. I'm sorry. You're just
good
not.
marketer,
Yeah.
right? Maybe.
Great. Maybe if you
maybe.
need that much to
If you're
supply
making,
the revenue. No.
If you're making $1.5 million a month, I guess then maybe it makes sense. But or I don't know what you're supposed to get back from your ad budget.
Fucking, it better be 10 at that
Something.
point.
I
Because
agree.
with your staff, you're screwed.
And I've never taken that approach. I've never just wanted to outspend the competition. My approach was I just want to bunt my way into the Hall of Fame. Let me just try to do it from the ground up and
Do the best
just
you
do the best
can.
thing and get cases the old-fashioned way, right? Like referrals from other lawyers that you know who don't do what you do, who need your help, developing an expertise, trying to actually become the best lawyer you could be and hoping cases find you that way. It's funny, I had this one person call me, potential client, says, well, can you give me any references? I said, all right, well, here's Judge so-and-so in Fulton County. I just tried a case in their courtroom last month. They'll tell you I'm a good lawyer. Here's Judge so-and-so in DeKalb County. I just tried a case in their courtroom 2 months ago. They'll give you reference. Here's Judge so-and-so in Cobb County. They'll give you
Or
and
here's
so they
who's-
said to me, do you have any just real people and not just judges?
Look at your fucking reviews,
like,
man. Like that's the whole
fine. I
thing.
say
Like
check the reviews.
Just check the
Yeah,
reviews.
I mean, sort of,
always.
but I don't even believe that because, I know some firms, they're out there with their 5.0 rating and 1,000 reviews. It's like,
No,
this
that's
is
bullshit. Well,
You
of course,
guys
that's
paid
bullshit.
for-
You've got to be able
But
to
we know
discern
that.
between like AI and reality.
Does the general public really know that, or
I
do they
hope
just see a
so.
5.0 and they just assume it's
They
real?
do check a lot. As my kids were checking our reviews actually the other day, and they were howling in the kitchen. They go, "Well,
What is this?
Have you heard this review?" And
Yeah, we have one negative review from 2000. Oh, fuck. I don't know when it was. 2000, like maybe 16, 15, something. Anyway, it was hysterical.
kids were dying.
She was like, I'm a triple threat. And the owner uses bad language. And I was like, yes.
Which owner were they talking about?
That's right. I don't know.
Oh, it's funny.
Probably me.
We had one review this week, and it was something like, they weren't that lazy. It's like, well, that's kind of
Is that
nice.
5
to say.
stars?
Yeah, we got 5 stars, and we weren't that lazy.
That's
it's like,
great.
Well, we put that out there. You know, not that lazy.
lazy.
Love that.
That's killing it from
I
a
think
lawyer
so.
perspective. I'll take that one all
We
day.
know a lot of lazy lawyers.
Yeah. I mean, it's the worst, though, when you work your ass off for a client and they're so happy and you get them a great fucking settlement and you do all that. And they go, 4 stars, best attorney ever.
Yeah.
What the fuck? Can I get the extra star, dude? But
Yeah,
they're like, I've never
I don't
given a
give 5.
5-star for anything.
I've had that too.
Can you just do it, though?
Can you
Because
just-
that'd be cool.
Could you just not love us quite so much? And
Yeah,
retract?
like I understand, like I don't have to be like Jesus.
Yeah,
but
you're like,
can
that's
you
8
just,
out of 10. That's 4 stars.
Yeah,
That's 80%.
Yeah,
I
can
think.
we? If I was a 10 out of 10, give me the 5.
I had one give me
Jesus,
a
we'd
5
have the
star,
5.
and then she came back because she had some like random subsequent case that didn't make sense. And I tried to help her and find somebody. I couldn't find anybody, and she was like, did a great job on my initial case, but then I needed help with this random thing, and she couldn't help me. And I go, well, that's not fair. I helped you with what I had a
4
contract
stars,
for.
not
And I
5.
told you I couldn't find anybody to help you with the other
Yeah.
random non-legal issue. But
It's kind of opened my eyes too about leaving reviews for people. I mean, you realize like a little bit goes a long way. It doesn't take
100%.
much.
100%.
And if you
only
have a bad
leave-
experience,
yeah.
it's like, you know, okay, you could be that person who's giving the 1 star,
It
but it's
better
got to
be
be really, really
Fucking
bad.
egregious.
or
And
just reach out directly.
right,
You know?
did you try to resolve it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
You know, did you just contact them directly?
Absolutely.
It's you
It's
know,
very
we're
important for our business.
Yeah, and we're in
It
a
is.
challenging place, right? Because we're not spending the $1 million a month, and we're relying on the kindness and the generosity of satisfied, happy former clients. Like if you're a big advertiser, you don't need former clients. You
Right.
could have a 1-star.
Yeah, no, they don't care. They have a lot of 1-star
Their next
reviews.
client is coming from that $1 million monthly spend, or from buying up our names on Google searches.
Yeah, that
Stand
fucking
up at the
makes
top.
me lose my shit.
It should.
So explain that really fast to our
Yeah, no,
listeners.
I mean,
I'm
Yeah.
going to
that
Google us
don't
right
know
now
what
and
this
see
is.
where
Yeah.
I'm going to Google us and
All
see
right,
how far
and
we
then
are.
I don't know. No. Google our name and then see who shows up as paid advertising
Right.
and out them live
It's
on the thing.
basically
I don't
no-
care who it is.
Yeah, it's legal apparently for folks to buy up the names of other lawyers as a search term. So if somebody searches our name, you'll see a sponsored ad come up for various other firms, some
Yep.
of which,
Who do we
most of
got,
which are
Rebecca?
the big
We came
marketing
up
firms.
first.
Well,
when I
yeah,
did
but
us.
I mean, okay. Who else is that? What's right below us? Go back up.
It's not my name.
No, it's
No,
not.
no, it's still us. It's us.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, but if you go to google.com and put it in, then
Bay
it's-
came up, and you work at Bay,
I do work at Bay, so that's fine.
the Moses firm, but that doesn't.
No, it's fine.
No, we came up. Nothing else is coming up.
There
on this
is. I'm
page.
telling you, when you
I get it,
Google it
yeah.
online,
There-
like
there's
an
several
actual.
firms.
Fucking Google that shit really fast. See what you
Wait,
get.
what are
I
you,
don't know if
what
it's
are
on
you
your
even doing over
I
there?
don't know.
Start Googling.
Yeah, it's like.
Apparently, things are working out for us right now
Hey,
because
there
we
it is.
still end up
No,
at the top.
I'm telling
Problem
you, people
solved.
will buy up
They
your
do.
name for Google search, and they show up as sponsored at the top. It's outrageous.
Because Google knows we're talking about them.
They do.
assholes.
Right now, they were like, we're correcting it because we know
And
they're
then
on
how about
here.
this one? You could do a great job for folks. We had a client that we got policy limits, $1 million recovery on his case. He was a truck driver, and a truck was somebody. He jumped out of the truck. Like after impact, he jumped out of the truck. Like we didn't know this till we saw the video. He jumped out of the truck, ends up having surgery. Not
You're like,
entirely
you
sure what's
didn't
going-
look super injured
Yeah.
by
It went-
leaping out of the
It
truck.
went from 0 to $1 million.
Yeah,
somehow.
okay, you
And I'd
worked
like
your
to think
ass
it's
off.
because of great
Yes,
lawyering, right?
absolutely.
Our repayment for that was he got in another crash a year and a half afterwards with
And
his
hired.
kid. And some runner came to him and
course.
said, I'm going to offer you something. Come to this lawyer and hire him. So they all went to that lawyer. And repayment for that was, it was a case against the state. They didn't send an anti-litem notice.
Oh,
he came
sounds like
back
you're
to us a
fucked.
year later
course.
to say,
Too
can you
late.
fix this? It's like,
Nope,
no, I can't fix
I
it.
can't fix it now.
You're the lawyer who stole you. Why didn't you come here in the first place? Did we not get you enough money the last time?
Can you explain runners really fast for our people?
Yeah, they're just folks who are illegally soliciting people that have been injured in crashes and dragging them to lawyers where the solicitor will get paid to bring somebody in. So if you get in a
Ambulance
crash,
drivers,
yeah,
sometimes police officers,
It's-
sometimes doctors,
every
sometimes
single person that comes into contact with your information from the moment you call 911, you can pretty much be sure they're selling that information to these illegal marketers. And they go out there and they will say anything. They'll even pay you sometimes to go hire this one lawyer or go to this one chiropractor. It's totally corrupt. It's totally illegal. Sadly, our state bar does nothing about it. because they're the ones who are supposed to police it.
Who did we just have in our state bar that just resigned
A lawyer named Darrell Champion, who headed up a committee to try to root this out.
And he said, I can't fucking do anything. My hands are tied.
Pretty much.
It's illegal. It's absolutely horrendous.
He said it more eloquently, but maybe not as effectively as you just did.
Yeah. It's out-fucking-rageous.
Yes,
so
that's what he said.
Yeah, but he said
State Bar, I'm resigning because this is out-fucking-rageous.
Out-fucking-rageous is what he should have said, and then maybe they would have been like, all right, fuck it.
We got to fix this.
We'll put some teeth on it.
They don't care. And it's. I had a client last week who almost didn't hire us because as they were passing somebody in the escalator, they heard this guy be like, oh, we can get you $200 million or something in a case. And the guy heard it, and the guy was just randomly like, I think he was on the phone, but he knew that this person was injured. Yeah. So the plan was to then they talked later and he gave him a card. And I'm like, do not listen to those people. Those are not
a fake call.
People that have your best interest in mind.
There was a big accident recently in Jackson County, right, where a chicken feed truck just crashed into the back of a Dodge Caravan. There were 8 people in the caravan, a family, dead immediately. And then that hit another pickup truck in front of them. And then the pickup truck then hit a rescue cat organization van. Okay, well, one of the group, one of the people, and I'm not going to get into it, but it wasn't all of the entire dead family, obviously. But one of them reached out and ended up hiring us, and we brought somebody in with us that specializes in that type of thing because we want to always make sure that somebody gets the absolute best advice. And I'm sorry, but multiple fatality trucking claims are not our wheelhouse, obviously.
We can find you someone.
And we can find you somebody immediately and work hand in hand with them. But I want to make sure, I only give advice on things I'm an expert in, and that is not something I'm an expert in. So, but, I told them immediately, I said, you will be getting multiple phone calls, multiple emails, text messages, unsolicited, all the things. If anybody's saying, hi, I'm with this firm, or hi, I'm with this medical provider, or hi, I'm with da 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 da, I was like, ignore. I was like, those are runners. He goes, is that an ambulance chaser? I go, it is absolutely an ambulance chaser. And anyone who employs those tactics does not have the credibility to do it without employing those tactics. You don't want them as your lawyer ever. And he goes, I'm not answering my phone ever again. I was like, I don't blame you. Me neither. That's terrible. But that's what they do.
Oh, look, folks, if you're at Grady Hospital because you've been traumatically injured in a crash of some sort.
100%. The trauma.
People just come in through the door and put papers in front of you to sign this, and they act like they work there, right? This is related to your discharge. They just get them to sign up right there in the hospital.
Mm-hmm. It's awful.
So yeah, it's a real stain on the profession, and unfortunately the bar doesn't do anything about it. I remember there was one sting operation, probably early 90s or so, that got one person in trouble, and that was the extent of it, and that's the last time I remember anything ever being done.
We could easily fucking nail 20 fucking big firms with this shit in a heartbeat if anybody actually did anything. But it puts you on such an uneven playing ground.
Right.
But it's also so fucking trashy and unethical.
It is.
And it's not fair to the clients. It's the biggest.
No, because you're getting terrible representation.
Right, but you would think the firms that are spending so much money on legal advertising would have a really vested interest in this sort of thing too. But it's all of us. It's the folks who rely on word of mouth too. I mean, this guy I was just talking about is a prime example. He should have by all rights called us. We should have handled the case for his whole family.
And then his case was fucked
and he wouldn't
on
have
a technicality.
Right, yeah, but he thought he'd met the right guy because he was there at the right time.
Well, and what he's not telling me is that guy probably offered him $200, and so he went with it.
Yeah.
And so
if you have to be paid to hire a fucking lawyer to handle your case, that lawyer is not going to be the best fucking representation.
So this is kind of interesting, but I mentioned I tried to do things the old-fashioned way and built up slowly, and that included a lot of work from lawyers who don't try cases, but it's like, hey, refer it to me. You've got a client,
right? I
can handle the litigation side of it. Bring it on. We'll figure out the fees. And so I remember being at a deposition. And, I'd had the talk with the client beforehand about everything I thought related to the case, but I guess I left out the part about, tell me how you found that lawyer. So the defense lawyer asked the question, how'd you find that lawyer?
Right.
I says, well, I got in the crash and I just waited for my phone to ring. I knew somebody would call me, and sure enough, it was him. And so as soon as they called, I hired him, and then he referred me over to Mr. Hagen.
Oh my God.
So it's like, all right, so the runner the runner called, but just this idea that I just waited for the phone to ring. At that point, I thought, well, maybe they're doing a service.
Yeah, but also, but then you also feel like they're a regular plaintiff, a professional plaintiff. Right?
Yes,
if
exactly.
I'm just waiting for the phone to ring, or I knew, anytime I have a client explaining to me what they did or what they need to do from their last case or moving forward, I'm like,
What's happening?
You want the ones who's like, I really don't know what to do here. It's like, well, good.
tell me what to do. Thank fucking God. That's what we're supposed to do. If you're like, well, the last time, I'll be like, all right, we're not fucking playing this game.
Yeah.
Well, you know, in some states, so I grew up in North Carolina, as did you, and in North Carolina, lawyers can solicit. So when you're in an auto accident in North Carolina, within days, you are inundated with like 20, 30 letters that are like, hey, call me, call me. So I do wonder for some people, like your client, like if he'd been in an accident somewhere else, that's how he got an attorney originally.
It didn't keep us from winning the case.
No,
it's just like
it's just
another thing we have to deal with.
So we have those exact same questions of how did you get to this doctor, right? So because we have very good relationships with doctors in the Atlanta area, or basically all over Georgia for our clients, right? And we know the ones that are more employer-insurer friendly and the ones that are more injured worker friendly, and we also know the ones that we would send us to, our parents to, our children to get surgeries if they needed them, right? And those are generally the ones that we go with, but they'll say, well, how did you get to that doctor? And it's like, well, my fucking attorney said that this was the best doctor.
Yeah, this is the best shoulder doctor in the state, and that's how I got there.
Yeah, 100%, you know, but it's the defense attorneys during depositions, they're always funny about that.
I like the one too where we tell them, look, didn't you ask the insurance adjuster for a recommendation for a doctor? They didn't give you any names, did they? And so you just say no. Well, I asked the defendant's representative to get me to a doctor, and they didn't give me any names. So then I asked my lawyer.
So I had to ask my lawyer. Somebody had to help me. I needed medical treatment for fuck's sake. Yeah.
So tell us what type of work your firm specializes in.
So we have a general personal injury practice. Like I said, built from the ground up. It's every imaginable tort. It's primarily car wrecks. It's a subspecialty in bike crashes where we really stand out in that area. But it's dog bites and trip and falls and people eat weird things that they shouldn't have eaten. It's
Do you do bed bugs? I have somebody who was asking me about bed bugs the other day from Florida.
And I won't do them anymore.
What if there's medical treatment and documentation for it and bills?
I feel terrible for the people.
Right.
But no, I mean, might I write a letter for something like that? Sure. Am I going to litigate that? I really don't want to get too deep into that. What's that thing about lying down with dogs?
You get up with fleas.
You get up with bed bugs.
So just don't stay in hotels that look like they have bed bugs.
And look, we've handled all kinds of things, but like you, I know what I can't do. And so if I get a call for what appears to be a great medical malpractice case, I'm not hanging on to that. We had one recently that just got resolved, and it got resolved for a big number. And it was something I didn't do. It was essentially a defective road construction case.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I've done defective design cases. I've done road defect cases. This one was just bad construction techniques. Lindsay Macon, fantastic lawyer here, I'm sure you guys know, just brilliant. She took charge of the case and just ran with it. My son Matt, who's a lawyer in my office, worked with Lindsay on it. They got an amazing result. No, it's great. But so knowing what you don't do and having
half the battle.
Lack of ego to be able to reach out to the people who can help is a huge thing. So, where we stand out, I think, really is in the bike crash cases, but it's partly because I'm a cyclist, but it's partly because we just, have made ourselves the subject matter experts in that one particular area. The problem I run into is unlike medical malpractice or construction defects or even trucking cases, right? People look at multi-victim trucking cases all right, I know who I'm calling for those kind of cases. There are a few folks that's their thing, and I'm going to call them. A bike case comes along and people are like, oh, I can do that. I know enough.
I definitely can't. I'm going to send them to you.
100% I'm sending to you. I know enough to know I don't know enough.
But I get enough calls from people who it's I've been turned down by these, other lawyers and, what do you think? Or worse, I've been represented poorly by these other lawyers. What do you think? And so
as long as they're not blowing statutes and all the things, that gives me hives.
So that's an area where we definitely stand out. That's the case I was just telling you about earlier. The drunk driver was a guy who killed somebody on a bike just 2 days ago and left behind 4 children. And this guy was drunk in the middle of the day and tried to flee the scene, flipped his car over.
Oh my God! No.
It was just awful. And so, thankfully, he's being prosecuted. You know, it's unfortunate. Everybody hates cyclists. There's not a single person looking at this podcast who, when they're behind the wheel of a car, doesn't hate cyclists, even if they are a cyclist. They hate them, and yet, you know, some people manage not to treat them as human beings. You know, there's like a loss of humanity when you put on the spandex and get on a bike.
The really tight pants that do it for us. Yeah, that's
well. But when you were, my dad was a cyclist growing up, and I remember when he was
before it was cool.
It was.
No way.
It's always been cool.
But he would go out on Saturdays with 25. Men, one woman. She was the coolest woman in Hickory.
Is this in fucking Hickory? You found 25 cyclists in the fucking 80s?
And they would go up, but they would do 321 up toward the mountains and back. And I remember every time he left, my mom was like,
oh, yeah.
There he goes again. I hope he comes back.
I'd love to, I do a lot of advocacy work, and it's like I'd love to have a world where my wife didn't just panic every single time I left the house on the bike, you know, and could just relax a little bit.
And everybody I know that is a cyclist has either been in a wreck or knows somebody that was seriously injured in one. Like, it's not...
My partner was just killed on a bike a couple months ago, Hagen Rosskopf.
Was he in Georgia, or was he...
Yeah, no, I mean, Ken was retired. Ken
was retired.
Like one of the original bike lawyers.
Yes, I read all of these articles. I'm so sorry for your loss.
No, I appreciate it. And it's not, I mean,
but it's fucking absolutely fucking
It's
terrible.
Ironically tragic that this happened, but, you know, for a guy who, by the way, the flip side of it is, because I went to his house to talk to his wife to try to console her like an idiot, and she ended up consoling me. But, you know, she put it into perspective. I mean, here's a guy who was about to turn 86 years old. He had still out there cycling. He had spent his day in a very meaningful, productive way. Had been to my office. My office is a collection point for donated bikes. There's a group called Free Bikes for Kids. And so we get hundreds of bikes donated every year. So Ken came there that day. He fixed a bike up to help this young person get on a bike. Spent like 2 hours with the guy, teaching him how to ride safely and advising him. He felt so good to have had like a useful part of his day. Went to his favorite coffee shop, had a coffee with his friends, went home, talked to his wife. I'm feeling good. Went out on a group ride with his friends out to Stone Mountain. Came back. I talked to several people on that ride. It's like, yeah, I lost sight of Ken at one point, but that's just because he was so far out in front of me, like he always was, because he was just, 86 years old, right? And then was a block from home. I mean, literally was making the turn to his street where his house was 3 houses down, and got hit by a car. You know, and it happened in a way. So some of the things I learned, some of the things that get me aggravated when I see other lawyers mishandling cases like this, is I read the police report. I know what it says. I could have told you what I was going to say even before I read it. That the driver either didn't see him or claims that the cyclist just came right in front of him. Right. Now this is a guy I taught bike safety classes with him for years. We trained police officers on what bike law is and how to investigate crashes and everything. The idea that he would have done what the report says he did is just impossible.
Absolute bullshit.
So, you know, we dug in, but at any rate, he gets hit. He's on the scene. He's speaking at the scene. His wife comes to the scene of the crash. He looks up her in the face and says, "I love you so much." And that's the last thing he said.
No.
So it's like the most poetic.
Jesus.
And as she told me, he says, you know what? His last day, he had a great day.
It sounded like it was a perfect day.
He said he had a great day, and we should all be so lucky because we've seen, you know, older folks just kind of fade into.
We should all be so lucky. You're right, but still, like, fucking, he could definitely outpedal me. I can promise you.
Well, me too. 10 years ago, so he was 75. I was doing a century ride, a 100-mile ride, which I don't ride like that. I was doing a 100-mile ride, so my buddy and I are riding along. Ken was on the ride, and we were with several other friends, but we got separated from everybody, so it's just me and my friend. And we get to the 80-mile mark. There's a rest stop there, and we're beat. Like it's you know.
You're like, I don't know if I can make it the next.
We're done,
20.
right? And we get there, and here's Ken, right? 75 years old, this big grin on his face, like, where you been? I've been waiting here for half an hour for you. Let's go.
God.
And he like guided us in for the last 20 miles and coached us through it to get to the end.
All the pictures I saw, he just looked like a glowing soul.
Yep.
Like he seemed amazing.
Very true. And he lived a great life. And, you know, I didn't realize it during his life, but just what an effect he had on me too, like as a mentor. Not just like reawakening in me this love of riding bikes, but just kind of, you know, recognizing the responsibility that we all have to give back to our community. And whatever your community is, and you guys are involved in your kids' sports and in other things, and it's like, you know, and you're part of it. And so he kind of instilled in that, hey, this bike community really is a thing, and it requires nurturing, and they need our help. And they need somebody who's going to stand up for them in every respect across the board.
So what are your, so speaking of that, because I think I mean, we see bike riders all the time, like driving on Wayuka Road every day to and from NYO, they're cyclists. And so as a cyclist daughter and someone who does enjoy reckless sports
I'm
at times.
still so outraged. Or not outraged, but like shocked by this. That your dad in the 80s and the 90s.
So, yeah.
No, fuck off. You're not getting on a fucking
kids,
bike. I'm sorry. We
do
have
it.
people dying all the time. You're not doing it.
You know, that's like my mom thought everybody who went on a cruise got food poisoning.
Fell off?
Or fell off the
seems
side.
like they
Either
do.
way.
I don't know.
And
Fell off?
she's like, you can't
got
go
eaten by
on a
sharks?
cruise. Everybody's dying. It's like, what about the ones who don't?
I know, but that's very similar to like motorcycle riding, right? Like it's not that, again, it has nothing to do with you. You're amazing and you're enjoying your life. It's the other terrible fucking drivers out there that like.
And then, you know, you could be at home and a
gives me
tree
such
falls on your
stress.
house too.
Also
you know,
true.
I mean,
I agree.
It's like you got to live your life and
You
pleasure.
do.
So,
We rode around Paris. So Adeline and I went to Paris this summer, and we got on, they've got e-bikes and stuff all over Paris, which is PS, the #1 like phenomenal way to like navigate all around Paris. But they don't have a helmet. And so I sat there and I said to Adeline, I go, I mean, like 4 or 5 times we passed by groups of e-bikes, and I was like, absolutely fucking not. You don't have a helmet. We're not going to do this. No way. No fucking way. And then finally, we had walked like 3 miles or something, and I was like, fuck
Get on it.
You get on the fucking bike. I'm not doing this anymore. We got on, but in Paris, they have so many wide bike lanes.
And we don't have
and
those
the
here.
people who drive are accustomed to it. They're looking out for
Very
you.
used
Their
to
cars are smaller, whereas like here, we've all got giant.
Yeah, I mean, like, you're gonna get hit by a Range
you know,
Rover.
I think they're just not addicted to cell phones.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I don't think they're like we are. And it's like, this is the #1 problem.
Is it? Do you think so?
It
That
is.
causes.
Yeah. I had my first Waymo ride the other night. It was the coolest
how
thing.
was it?
Oh,
It was
fuck that.
amazing.
I'm not ever getting
Can I
in
tell you
those
something?
things.
It was great. I had been excited about it. It's going to put me out of business.
You
by
are
the way, but
absolutely
it
like
was-
an adrenaline junkie.
it was
is what you are. I'm not getting in those
Come on,
fucking
I've
things
seen your
at
skiing
all.
videos.
Yeah, well,
I know
my
about
skiing
you.
is different, but I can control that. Waymo, not in control.
All right, so here's what Waymos don't do. They don't drive drunk. They don't get distracted by their cell phones. They're not angry. They don't have
probably
an
not
agenda.
speeding.
They drive the speed limit. They use turn signals.
You know what they
slow
don't
down.
do? They don't stop for stopped school buses.
How about this? They don't have BO. No, but that's true. I mean, there was an incident of them not
I
stopping.
know, we
but
just
that's
talked
not,
about
that's
it on
not
the radio
generally
last
true.
week.
It's just something that happened.
Gives me hives.
That
of
old
how many of our
expression.
Uber drivers
That
were
old
high
expression.
as
You got to break a few eggs to make
They're
an
all
omelet.
hammered.
There
They're
are a
all
lot of mistakes that are going to get made, and they're going to get ironed out of the system. I felt so safe sitting in the back of this thing. You could see on the monitor like exactly what the car is recognizing around
Can
you.
you stomp on the brake if you need
You
to,
can-
or
you
the
can
gas?
press
Can
it.
you do anything
Oh,
you need
gosh.
to? Because I do that
You gotta have
riding
to
with
let
any
go.
of my
You
friends.
gotta let
Not
go.
this one.
No, she
You
doesn't. I
have
don't
to-
let anybody
You're
else
just going to
have me.
have to let it go. Right? What does Elsa say? Let it go.
Now, I've only driven her once, and it's because she had surgery.
I was on
Otherwise,
propofol.
Yeah.
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 No, there is a button you can press that can stop the ride, but I don't think you can't take the wheel.
Can
and,
you not like
That's probably
in
a
the
good way to
back?
get arrested.
See, no, I can't. No way.
I felt so much safer in that car than driving with some of my friends. I'd say half of
Oh,
my
right,
friends.
that's fair.
And most Uber drivers, you know, because some
Did you
Uber
feel
driver who
safer
tells
than
you
driving yourself?
probably, you know what, this Waymo did that I don't do, which is it knew that speed bumps were coming and didn't go flying over the speed bumps at 35 miles an
I
hour.
like doing that with my kids.
Nobody has
Yeah,
time for that. You just
right.
gotta go over
No.
the speed bumps.
I feel that way.
See,
you know,
I would be
like,
frustrated.
I
That
like
would be
Dukes of
slowing
Hazzard.
down my arrival. I don't have time for that.
All right, so that's another. You were going to ask, like, what can we do to make the roads safer? Slow
I'm
down.
I'm a
Put the phone
psychopath.
down. Yeah.
So what?
Okay,
But what do you tell a cyclist?
What do I tell the
like
cyclist?
your friends that are like, and obviously you're a cyclist. Like, what do you do to make sure that you don't get hit?
So there's only so much you can control. You can't control what other people do. You can try to make yourself as visible as possible, not just by the bright clothing you wear and lights and things on your bike, but by how you position your bike within the lane. You know, I mean, some people feel like I need to be so far over to the right so that cars can come past me, when it's really not the smartest thing to think we could share this lane with the car safely.
Going
so put yourself in the
45
lane,
miles
right?
an hour, yeah.
Don't
In
go
the
on
car
roads.
lane, or if there's a bike lane?
There's no such thing as a car lane, Rebecca. They're just travel lanes, okay?
Also, there's not really any fucking bike lanes around Atlanta.
There
I mean,
are
in a lot of
such things as
places,
bike
there's
lanes,
not.
but there's no, like, there are lanes that are exclusively for the use of bikes, but not lanes that are exclusively for the use of cars, unless you're talking about on a highway or something, right? So
There's not
make
gonna be
yourself
any on
ride
85
predictable.
or 400.
Make your ride in a predictable manner. Make yourself visible to the cars. I tell cyclists the thing they really don't want to hear from me, which is, if you want to be protected by the law, you need to follow the law, right? Nobody wants to hear that, because that means
So
stop
what does
at
that
stop
mean?
signs,
Like stopping at
stop at red
and
lights.
like doing all your like hand signals?
Use
and
hand
stuff?
signals. Yeah,
Okay.
and by the way, drivers don't want bikes to do that either. There was a great protest in San Francisco some years ago, where San Francisco cyclists started this thing called critical mass. Critical mass was, we're going to take over the streets. We're just going to come out, hundreds of us, and we're just going to snarl traffic. We don't care. Just ride us. Right? So they did this for an hour, rode through the city. By the way, it happens in Atlanta once a month. So there was such pushback against critical mass that the organizer said, here's what we're going to do next month. We're going to just come out and ride, but everybody follow the law. We're going to stop at every stoplight. We're going to go single file. We're going to ride, which you're allowed to ride two abreast.
Right.
But, you know, we're not going to swarm. We're going to just follow the law. And it clogged up traffic way worse
have
than
no
if you
doubt.
just
I'm sure.
So it's like, you don't want.
You're like going at the stop sign, like
It
stopping with
creates
the.
such resentment when you're driving a car and you see someone on a bike just come flying through a stop sign and they're not stopping, right? But if you stop at the stop sign and now I've got to pedal 1 mile an hour, 2 mile an hour, going uphill slowly, just, you know, it's like, you hate that too. So it's, what people want is get on the sidewalk.
I'm never mad at cyclists. You can't go on the sidewalk.
What we
Are you fucking
need,
kidding me?
what we need are separated,
Go.
protected bike lanes.
Like
and
in
you
Paris.
see it.
Like in Paris.
And you're starting to see it. You know, Juniper Street in Midtown is being redone as we speak. It's been just years of construction. But there's going to be a protected bike lane that rides you from 14th Street all the way to downtown, basically, in a protected lane. Great. We have it in Decatur all over, protected bike lanes.
Right.
It's a great way to kind of say, hey, look, bikes, you can exist here happily. Cars, you can exist here happily. We'll meet where we have to, but let's try to make it better for everybody.
Now, as a driver, because this is where I struggle driving to NY, I'm down Wyuka, and there are always cyclists. Can I pass them?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I pass
Sure.
the shit out of them all the time.
And
Well, I never know because we're sharing the lane, so I get
so-
nervous.
No,
you
you
can
drive
move
around,
into-
you're going faster than they are.
the law is pretty straightforward on it, and it's similar to like passing an emergency vehicle. Like you move over into the next lane if there is one. If you can't, then you slow down to no more than 10 miles an hour over the speed limit, and you pass safely when you can. You can move into the next lane to do it. It's a problem going downhill, right? Because you're on Wyuka, and if it's downhill and a bike's going 30 miles an hour downhill, how fast do you have to go to pass them?
Yeah.
You got to go
60.
40 to
you got to go
45.
Sarah speed, right?
Yeah.
So you got to like 60 to
Here
pass them.
I am.
So all right, they're going downhill. Let them go. Now they're climbing back up a hill. They're going to go 10 to 15 miles an hour, right? Okay, if you can see, good
pass
time
them
to
then.
pass. Yeah.
Okay.
I
Or
don't
you know
ever
what?
pass
And this
on the
is the
downhill
hardest
because you
thing.
fuckers go fast as shit
Sure.
going downhill.
This is the hardest thing for you. The other thing is to just say, you know what? I'm just going to wait. I'm just going to wait this one out.
You know, because it's interesting, and I joke. I think this is funny. With
Yeah.
I'm actually
with swimmers.
completely the
Wait.
most impatient person you've ever met, but like I'm like, I don't fucking care.
Yeah,
If
I don't
riders,
care.
y'all do your thing.
And as long as it's like, you know, if you're not behind schedule, like your kid is waiting to be picked up, or your
it's
kid's
very
waiting to
out
drive,
of character
just-
for me to say that, but I
just-
really just
yeah.
wait it out.
These are-
I'm
Because
like,
how many
eh.
times do you get to the red light and then the
And then they're
biker
there.
pulls up right beside you
It's-
anyway, and I'm
it's
like,
the most satisfying
should've
thing on a
just
bike
chilled.
I have
to do
no
that. It's
doubt
the best
so.
thing. And I just look over and wave.
like,
No middle fingers. I'm not trying to create conflict.
No,
I have
but
enough conflict on a daily basis. I'm not trying to create it on the bike. I just wave. You know, that's it.
That motherfucker might shoot you though. We're
Now
in
I will
Atlanta.
say,
Be careful.
I will pedal as fast and as hard as I can to catch up to that car.
Of
Like to be able to have
as you
that.
should
yeah,
to go.
Feels
Yeah,
good.
it does
Little
feel good.
satisfaction.
Just like do like a little wink and a little like a head tilt.
But it's basically just, you know, having respect for other people's right to exist. It's not that hard to come up with, you know, and if it's an inconvenience to you in your car, okay. This is the kid who, the person who coaches your kid's team. This is your teacher, your neighbor, your
dad.
father. You know,
They're just in
this was the
spandex.
father. This was the
Maybe
father.
Rebecca.
This guy.
No, fuck off.
Today,
You're
who
not
died
doing
Sunday.
that.
Right, the father of 4 kids
No,
between
that makes
15
me
and
so sad.
22.
No, fuck that.
You know, I mean, just recognize that these are human beings.
Why you're not fucking driving a goddamn bicycle?
Ride
No.
a bike. It's fun. It's enjoyable. Most people don't get killed.
We're gonna go ride. We're gonna
Okay.
go rock climbing. Okay,
Go-
like we're just gonna do
Okay.
that more.
How about
That's
this?
fine.
What about like Silver Comet Trail? Something
That's
like
fine,
that.
yeah,
Okay,
okay, I support that.
Go for a
It's
ride out that
just-
way.
okay.
I enjoyed it. So during COVID, it was lovely.
Yeah.
Right. We bought 3 bikes for our household. Me, Justin, Adeline.
You know, you couldn't get bikes during COVID
I know.
because everybody bought
PSA,
bikes.
we're not like lovely
It's
clip-in
okay.
road bikes. They were like leisurely
Cruisers.
road bikes. Yeah, we had, there was a basket on one of them that we'd put Maxie in, our 9-pound little like rat ass dog that likes to bite people. We'd put him in a little basket and we'd ride around, and it was so
It's
nice.
fun.
But there were not,
There were no cars on
you
the road.
know, there were no cars.
We come to find out that having cars on the road is one of the best way to slow down cars. It's like
Yeah,
when
for
because we didn't have a lot of cases during that time frame, but the ones we had
God,
were
I
like
can
high
imagine,
speed
yeah.
crashes.
Yeah.
Because people are like,
because
fuck
people are
yes,
flying. There's
wide
nobody out
open,
here.
I'm going
Yeah.
80.
Yeah, yeah,
The cops aren't here, who cares?
Do whatever you want to do.
right.
So in addition to bike and personal injury stuff,
Yes.
you have actually done some pretty cool cases against the NFL.
Yes, I got involved very early on with the what became the NFL concussion litigation.
For the CTE.
So for the CTE, exactly.
Okay, so explain that
Chronic
for our
traumatic
people.
encephalopathy. I don't even think I could
Yep.
say it right.
No,
12
that
years
was
later.
well done. That was phenomenal.
So going back to about 2011 or so, players came together and started to bring cases against the league. And the premise was that the league knew that there were a lot of serious long-term problems to the brain that came from repeated blows to the head. Sounds kind of like something you wouldn't argue with, but it was like not just the big massive blows where someone's knocked out unconscious on the field, which they think, all right, I
Just
had a concussion.
tiny
But
concussions
there's
or
concussions that
tiny-
take place
yeah.
at the micro level and the even subconcussive level, so not quite what we call a concussion, but it's just repeated trauma, right? I mean, you know this from workers' comp, right? Somebody who is, I don't know, sewing on a daily basis and just doing this, you know, all right, you do that for 6 hours, your
Repetitive
wrist is
motion.
sore, and,
Yep.
and it's okay, your wrist is
And
sore
then you
the
do
other
it
day.
for 20
You do it for
years,
20
like
years, and now you've got
CTS, yep.
carpal tunnel syndrome and you need surgery and you can't really use your arms the same way. So it's similar to that with the brain. The repeated blows to the head took a toll. And so the belief was that the NFL not only knew about this, but actively deceived the players. It would have been one thing if they just said, yeah, we know this, but it's
So they
a
knew
cost of
about
doing
it, and then
business.
like what? Like emails and all this stuff like came out, and we're
Very
like,
much.
we already know the science behind this, and we're gonna fucking shove that shit down because we want people to continue to make money for us.
In the
and play
same
for
way
us.
that the tobacco companies
Right.
got in trouble because they lied about the effects of tobacco on the human body, the
Right.
NFL took a page out of their playbook and said, we're going to do the same thing with
We're gonna
head
deny
injuries.
it.
And we're going to deny everything about it, and we're going to defend everything.
When
We're
did
gonna-
you first get involved in
So I got involved 2011, and I had played
was
football through high school and into college, and so I had some football experience, but I also knew former pro football players, one of whom came to me and said, hey, this lawyer out in California is asking me if I want to get involved. What do you think? So as we discussed with other things, like this is going to be a massive either class action or what we call a mass tort. I don't do that sort of work, or at least I hadn't to that point. But I know lawyers who do. And one of them is a friend of mine who not only does that kind of work at a really high level, played quarterback at Wake Forest, so knew a lot of football players as well. A guy named Mike McGlamry with Pope McGlamry Law Firm in Atlanta. Great lawyer in his own right, too. So I approached Mike with it and said, what do you think? He's like, well, I know who that lawyer is that's bringing case. I think this is real, and let's give it a shot. So I went about the business of trying to assemble a group of clients. It's kind of funny because you're dealing with football players, right? And former pros. They've achieved to the highest of their sport.
Absolutely.
They're used to being coddled at every stage of
Yeah.
life. So we organized a dinner at the Palm. I used my platform on Sports Talk Radio. Hey, former NFL players, if you played, contact
the
me.
Palm.
Come to the Palm
wanna
for dinner.
come see
Informational
us.
dinner, right? We got 2 RSVPs. And,
How many
and
people
then one
showed
of
up?
those called the day of to say, I'm sorry, I can't make it. Right? So we had one RSVP, and we had shrimp cocktail and steak sliders for about 100. So about 60 people showed up. You know, it's like,
I knew it. I was like, I bet you they did. Nobody RSVP'd.
Right, nobody RSVP'd.
Just so we're clear,
and we signed
that's not
up,
happening.
you know, 35 or so clients that night, and it was on. And then because we got involved early, I mean, we filed the first state court case, and it was the first case. I'm sorry, we filed in federal court. There was a state court case in California. We filed the first federal court case here, and then because we got in so early, we got invited when they formed the leadership committee for the case, and Mike got on the executive committee. I got on a subcommittee of that, which was so much fun because it's football players. I mean, my whole life, it's all I ever wanted to do. I didn't grow up wanting to be a lawyer. I grew up wanting to be a defensive end for the Minnesota Vikings.
Oh, I love that.
I'm a Packers
I got
fan.
to
I don't know if we can
5'10".
She was like, that's it, we're done. This interview's over.
Apparently, 5'10" Jewish kids don't typically make it as defensive ends in the NFL.
They
So
don't.
whatever,
I'm sorry.
right? Law school beckoned. But now getting a chance to represent all these guys was just great, and do it at this level. And so little by little, we went from, you know, initially this thought that, what do you mean you're suing the NFL because you didn't think people were going to have brain damage from banging their heads against each other? What did you think was going to happen? And within like 2 years, the public sentiment had changed so much to like, what do you mean you only settled for $1 billion? How could you?
Right. How could you accept that? Their life is ruined, and they've murdered other people or had physical violence or whatever it may be. It's awful.
Really, really awful. And you know, in the work we do, the general public sometimes doesn't quite get it. They see billboards of like $10 million settlement, $20 million recovered. They hear about verdicts, and they just think these lawyers are getting all this money. And they lose sight of the fact that there's a tragedy behind every one of those big numbers that you see.
And those numbers are there for a reason.
Yes,
you know, you're paying for medical, you're paying for loss of life.
The value of a human life, right? And so, you know, we're dealing with folks who, I represented a lot of widows whose husbands had played in the NFL and gradually descended into some sort of lunacy that led to a suicide.
Right.
Or just some sort of self-destructive behavior that might have been a suicide.
Yeah.
But then you come to find out that they have this horrible brain disease called CTE, and that's what kind of drove them to it. Now, CTE doesn't do that to everybody. And I think one of the reasons the NFL settled so quickly is because they realized that everybody was going to be found in this, to have played football, everybody was going to be found to have CTE.
Absolutely.
But it could only be diagnosed on autopsy. That's the only way to know if somebody has it or not. So, or had it or not. But hearing these stories from these widows, it's like, you know, we couldn't stay married. They were violent. They were having the worst behavior. They were abusive towards the family or whatever it was. Or they just lived this life in solitude. And so anyway, there's just awful, horrible stories. Some quick, some just very gradual descent. And so,
have there been any of those cases yet for like soccer players?
Yeah, so not so much the same way, but in the course of doing what we did, you know, come to learn like some of the most dangerous sports, girls soccer was high up on the list.
My daughter's a goalie, so I get that. I'm like,
Well,
I'm like sitting here listening to you going,
I know your daughter's a goalie because I heard her on the radio.
She was on the radio like 2 weeks ago.
With the locker room.
That was not planned, by the way. We just sat down and she was so excited to sit in, and they were like, all right, so what do you think about this? She goes, well, I mean, if it's pouring down rain and we have multiple games, then, I mean, the field players are going to get injured every time because they're exhausted.
Yeah.
Am I going to get injured? Probably not, because I'm not running. I mean, like, I was like, look at you. But I mean, it was, anyway, that was not planned.
Fun.
But she was very, thank you for saying that.
And home team is so engaging that, you know, he can
He's
get
such
everybody
a
to
love
open
bug.
up.
He's like the biggest love bug ever. He's so supportive.
But yeah, girls soccer, cheerleading is a big one. You know, it's like the ones who are at the base are generally okay. The Flyers are
I was the base and took in high school, one of my best girlfriends, Carla, she came, we, you know, threw her up in like a basket toss, and fucking all the other bases moved out of the way. And I was like, not on my watch, bitches. And I fucking had her little 115-pound frame coming down at me from like 15 feet up in the air and fucking landed on me. I mean, both of us down on the ground. Yeah. Like, it's tricky.
It's a tricky sport, and
if your bases are going to catch you, the bases are fucked. If they're not, the Flyers are fucked.
But you know, you're doing it in gymnasiums on hardwood floors. A lot of times it's not always out on the grass, so that's surprisingly dangerous. But you know, then you'd come to find sports like rugby, where guys aren't using their heads as people aren't using their heads as weapons. You know, I talked to this one old Falcons player, Jeff Van Note. Again, getting to meet your heroes, let alone represent them. Right? It was so fun.
I love that.
But so I'm talking to Jeff Van Note about this, and he was an older guy, and he said, I started playing in the days when you didn't have a face mask, and you just go and hit. He says nobody used their head as a weapon. He says, you break your nose once, you get your teeth knocked out.
Hurts.
He's like, you don't want to keep doing that. I know your son just took one.
Yeah.
But he said when they started introducing face masks and made them invulnerable, right? So like you couldn't get hurt in your face with the face mask on. Now suddenly you weaponize the head, and everything changed at that point. He was advocating going back to just removing the face mask to play. It's like,
then people are scared again.
Yeah.
Well, so obviously Sarah as a soccer mom, I'm kind of a soccer mom, but definitely a football and baseball mom. Do you have any recommendations? Do we let our kids play? Do we just like biking? Like
I will tell you,
life is life.
I played football, as I said. My son played football into high school. It's to me, everything that football did for me is part of shaped who I am, and team sports in general helped shape who I am, and so I think that's such
the most
so many valuable lessons, right? Football, basketball, all of it. But I think in this age, parents are so much more engaged. You're so much more aware. You're mindful of symptoms. I think coaches may or may not be. The good ones are aware of this. They'll pull kids out. Teams have trainers now. Your kids probably from the time they started playing sports have been getting baseline assessments done. You're welcome.
Adeline
you're welcome or I'm sorry.
Had an MRI and all the things, a brain MRI, because she got a concussion. Well, she had a skull fracture. Well, she got a skull fracture when she was like 18 months old. She fell, her little feet got caught up in a bath mat, and she like fell on the tile lip of the shower, right? And it was fucking terrible. But so she had that baseline, and then she got a concussion this past year. And so we got to compare the two to check on the white matter of all of the things. And I think it's so important for kids that are heavily involved in sports and like doing the thing every day that they do get a kind of baseline so you can see, so you can say, okay, that's enough, we're done. Because like if Adeline has like one or two more concussions, I'll be like, fucking, you're done.
Well,
we're not done.
And the idea
we're not doing this anymore.
So this comes into play in many of the cases we handle. And I think since this NFL case, people are recognizing that a concussion's a big deal, right?
It's a big deal.
When I was growing up and playing,
wasn't a big deal.
Here's some smelling salts, get back in, or sit down for this series. You're back in the next one, and it's just that's how it was. And so
here's your 3-minute break. Somebody's going like this.
You're so predisposed to getting a second one or a third one, and then it really does build on. So the memory of it kind of lingers, and we see this in our car crash cases, in our bike crash cases. There have been certainly improvements in helmets. You asked about if those big helmets that the guys wear help. They help, but no helmet is going to eliminate the brain sloshing around inside your skull, right?
So I've got Adeline the thing for soccer players that they have now, and it does show that it helps.
It helps.
It's definitely not foolproof, but it goes, it looks like a headband. It goes around the back, and she gets so pissed off. She does not want to wear it.
I'm sure.
She's like, I'm not done. I'm like, I'll fucking kill you.
Yeah.
Put this fucking thing on. You already got a concussion. We're not doing this. But it keeps, like, it's got some padding here, where she's going to take, and in the back where she's going to take some of the knees when the girls are sliding in. I'm like, no, dude, we're not doing this. Like, you want to be a trauma surgeon? Try being a trauma surgeon with CTE.
So here, to your, our brilliant viewers of this and listeners, invent an injectable foam that goes in the ear and creates a layer of foam that keeps your brain stable inside your skull, and then absorbs into the body and goes away, and after an hour, and you've got that will prevent concussions, right?
Well done.
But look at even
I'm like,
come on, skiers.
I'm like immediately going, how does that work?
Oh, a bad ski fall.
So what about skiers, right? Like when I grew up skiing, nobody wore helmets.
Yeah, I know, same. I was a ski instructor.
I used to get knocked out all the time in North Carolina, not wearing a helmet.
Absolutely not. I was a ski instructor in the southernmost thing on the East Coast, and just on a block of ice. None of us
and even
wore
then,
things.
right? People started. You see some older folks wearing it. It looked weird. You felt weird. Now, if you go out there without a helmet on, it's like you're a pariah.
You are an absolute pariah. So Adeline, actually, the last ski trip of the season this past year, she launched off. She missed a cat track, and she launched off it at 55 miles an hour, straight up into the air, down, so like 20 feet up, down, land on her back, skidded. I mean, it looked like a yard sale. I saw it coming down. And she had to be ski patrolled down to the ER via ambulance, all of the things. And I was like, oh my God, it's my child that, like, I went up to her and I go, Adeline. She said nothing. I go, Adeline. She said nothing. I go, Adeline Jane. She goes, Mom. I go, okay, all right. Are you okay? She goes, no, I'm not okay. I go, can you stand up? She goes, no. I go, okay, I'm calling ski patrol right now. But I mean, like, skiing, at least you've got the huge helmet.
Yeah.
But she didn't. I go, do you feel how you felt when you got the concussion playing soccer? And she goes, no, not even remotely the same. And I was like, okay, then you probably,
that's good.
She had said, when I asked her when she was in soccer, I said, can you see out of, how are you feeling? She goes, well, I can't see out of the left eye. And the right eye looks like a fun mirror at the carnival. And I go, you're fucking up.
That sounds
Come on,
good.
and we're going. Yeah. So she didn't feel like that. So I was like, okay, all right. Well, you might have a fractured pelvis, but at least you don't have a concussion. Thank fucking God.
Gotta make sure that brain's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she'll let her daughter do that, but won't let you ride a bike.
Right? Seems unfair.
She has to take care of me when I'm old. My daughter will be like out raising her family. Rebecca's in for me.
That's our kids' jobs to take care of us when we get old. Why
I'm
do I have my
relying
son
on-
working with me in my
They'll be
I mean, that's
boring
fair,
us.
but I rely on Rebecca. We're going to get a compound. I can't wait.
It'll be perfect.
Oh, I'm putting a compound together.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
perfect.
It's a good plan.
Can we be next door?
Sure, why not?
We can be neighbors.
We'll let you bike wherever you want.
We'll
I will
cycle
share the
together.
road every day.
Beautiful.
I'm in.
I
Yeah.
accept that
She's
offer.
gonna speed around you, and then together we can pull up to her at the stop
Right.
sign and
At
give
the
her the middle turn.
stoplight, and you can go.
Made it just as fast.
Yeah.
What is the best way for people to get in touch with you?
Um,
You don't have to give out your cell phone
million-
number, but
no,
give out your
call my
website.
cell phone.
Don't give. No, do not do that. Absolutely
Look,
not. Give out
it's
your
Bruce
website.
Hagen, Hagen, Hagen-law.com. We're on Instagram at Peeps Lawyer is my Instagram.
At Peeps
Peeps,
Lawyer?
P-E-E-P-S, like, you know.
Yeah, but like you're
like the
peeping
peep-
Tom.
The People's Lawyer.
I'm like the peeping
Peeps.
Tom.
I was thinking like the candy.
I hadn't thought of that, but
She
yeah, it's like
said
the Peeps.
peeps.
It's like
I
Peeps.
say peeping Tom. You say
say
the people's lawyer. This is the three different
you know,
personalities.
shine a
we
bright
have
light
here.
with the Hagen symbol up into the sky, and I will respond and get into the Hagen copter and find you. I mean, if you can't find me, you're just not trying. It's. I'm not hiding. It's
Absolutely.
my office is in Decatur, and you know, we're out there. Or call you and say, hey, how do I find that?
And I will absolutely, but yeah, I'll
Where's
be
the
like,
bike and
Bruce,
CTE lawyer?
immediately. Yeah.
We tell people all the time, say, hey, look, there are some great lawyers out there, but call me and let me send you to them first.
So I tell my
It'll
clients all
work
the
even
time.
better.
I'm like, if I don't do it, I know someone that does.
Yes, exactly.
Always. And
Always.
here's the thing, if you have attorneys that are going to refer you to other attorneys, it's because they are phenomenal fucking lawyers and they are like good at what they do. We specialize in workers' comp. Like that is our like absolute, we're experts at it. We can tell you all the things with it. If it gets really, and obviously we can do non-litigated PI and we can do some litigated PI if it's dealing with a motor vehicle accident. But if you are dealing with complicated issues that have a specific code section, find those lawyers, but we can get you to them.
I tell this to clients all the time. It's like, you've got a doctor, that's your primary care doctor, right? If you have some bizarre or just different sort of medical
need a
issue,
specialist.
aren't you going to talk to your primary care doctor and say, who should I go see for this?
100%.
Or are you just going to go to Dr. Google and figure it out?
no.
Or see who's advertising on TV for
$1
that
million
particular
a
thing,
month.
right? So you're going to ask your primary care doctor, who should I go see for this? I said, consider me your primary care lawyer.
Right.
Whatever you need, you just come to me for it and let me help, because chances are I know somebody who's really good at what you need.
yeah.
And if I
Lawyers
don't,
know good
I'll
lawyers.
find them. Yeah. And by the way, I know who to avoid even more so.
Oh, absolutely, to put it
important.
mildly.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. This has been so fun.
That was great.
Thank
Thanks for
you
having
so
me.
much for
Radio.
coming on.
I will
Friends.
commit to tipping this into a glass at 8 p.m. this evening.
I might
And,
actually mug you in the parking lot for that bottle because it was so good.
it is
It's
good, right?
delicious.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not going to lie,
It's a
that
good
was
one.
so good. I mean, again, I am a Four Roses fan, so that was really lovely.
Here, you don't have to mug me. I'm gifting it to you.
I'm
I've
planning
got-
on fighting you in the parking lot. I can't
I'll
wait for
arm
this.
wrestle
This
you
is
for
going to
it.
be fun. We're done. I'm ready.
If you cycle him for it, though, I think he's going to win.
No, fuck yeah, absolutely. Like, if you want just like pure rage fighting, like, fine.
I may not be the strong arm, but I will arm wrestle you for this.
The strong arm, all of us would beat the strong arm immediately. And I was going to say, like most cyclists, the ones that are like cycle a lot, they are so, I knew you were, whenever you said that you played football, I was like, obviously, because you're significantly more built
Thanks
and
for
toned
noticing, Sarah.
than most, but I'm just going to say,
Please
than
don't
most
pump it
I would
cyclists.
say,
Most cyclists make sure their upper body
Yeah.
is so thin and not built at all because it's more mass, it's more muscle weight that they have to like pedal through, and their legs are so big. But like,
I don't have a classic cyclist
you are
physique.
very
That's true.
proportionate, and
Thank you.
and so I was just going to say that.
Appreciate it.
Well done.
Yes.
I noticed.
You're right.
Cheers to you.
Let's have another and see how we feel.
He's like, and keep
going.
drinking,
Don't
Sarah.
stop recording this.
But thank you so much for coming on.
No, I appreciate you guys having me. This has been a lot of
appreciate
fun.
it. Anybody who has a cycling case, CTE, I mean, really anything. But you can call us and we'll get them over to
That's the way to
you
do
and
it.
move on.
Thank you so much.
Yes,
Did I just slam the
absolutely.
laptop shut and it's over?
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're
we're good.
done.
Thanks for joining us for Lawyers and Libations. We'll see you soon.